Okay, so I want to welcome everyone to another interview. Today we are interviewing the creator of Club Meetings. You may introduce yourself.
Go by Club Meetings Dev basically in DDLC spaces, and yeah, I'm the person who makes club meetings for the most part.
Alright, now I have a few questions here, and first off, I would like to kick it off with some questions from the community, from the Reddit post. So, the first question is how long do you see yourself continuing the development? Like, how many seasons? Or is it just until you run out of ideas?
It's basically a planned mod in terms of the story. I started writing this, the basic outline for the entire story back in late 2019, and figured at that time, and spoilers if you haven't played the mod, as to how many seasons it is, so you can check out for the next 10 seconds or so. But it's 4 seasons. The next one is the last one, basically.
Damn. Okay, good to know. Another question here from a member of the community is are you a tree?
Hi, Jody. No, I am not a tree. That's an in joke. So, well, it's not even an in joke. So, my favorite joke is to ask someone to ask you if you're a tree, and then they ask you, and you just say no flatly. Anti humor appears in the mod a couple of times. So good in
Uh,
joke.
okay, now we have a question similar to the first one, and it's basically will there be some big finale to club meetings?
I mean, I'm not really sure what they mean by that. I mean, there will be stuff at the end that you would hopefully, look for at the end of a story. I'm contemplating at this point making. So usually after each season, I make a compilation where I put in every episode and a bunch of fun extras about that season. And I think that in place of the season 4 compilation, I'm going to make basically the whole mod compilation where you can get the whole mod in a single gigantic download. So that should have some fun stuff in it.
Ooh, that's intriguing. Another question here from the community. How did you get introduced to DDLC?
Basically, I just heard the buzz around it when it was released back in 2017. I think I heard kind of the same stuff everybody hears, which is, oh, it's a deconstruction. It's, a horror game masquerading as like, a boring, like completely replacement level VN, which was interesting to me. I've never really been that into VNs at all. But I am into horror, and I am into deconstructions and meta narratives and so forth. So that's what got me into it. Tried it, loved it. One of the only visual novels I've ever actually liked, really.
Oh, okay. Well, it's good that it was something up your alley then, and that you
Hmm.
knew what you were getting into.
So, well, I didn't quite know what I was getting into. Like everyone just said, don't try to figure out what it is or like where the horror is going to come from. Play it. And that's
Ah,
what I did.
alright. Another question here is what's your favorite part about your own mod?
Oh, that's a good question. Writing dialogue for the characters is a lot of fun. In my mod they've gotten pretty severely characterized at this point, so they all have very distinct voices. So writing dialogue is a lot of fun. Another thing that I think warrants special mention is that if you're not familiar, my mod has a feature where, because everyone's aware, they decide to make their own mods within the mod. So everybody makes little sub mods, which are further opportunities for characterization.
Oh,
Because each character is in character making their own mod. So making those little other mods is fun for me because it gives me a chance to do something other than the main mod that I'm working on. It lets me branch out and do fun other ideas that I have that wouldn't necessarily fit, like turning everything into a point and click adventure game, for instance, infamously. Or the group gets around and plays a tabletop role playing game or something. Those are fun. I like those as well.
oh yeah, that does sound really fun.
Hmm.
So, now, what are things you think you could have done better in your mod?
I'm definitely still a novice coder, so I have never coded anything prior to this project. This is the first thing I've ever coded, period. Um, and basically, the whole reason I took up this project was because So I played DLC in like 2017, and then in 2019, I played some games that were made by a friend of mine, and the games, if you're not, so the friend is named Shindigs. He's also an experimental VTuber. He made this pair of games. The first one's called the StarCraft 2 visual novel, and the second one is Don't Forget Our Esports Dream, which is the sequel. And they are about StarCraft esports. Your protag is trying to navigate the world of StarCraft esports. And I really liked it because, most VNs are kind of, it's kind of predictable what you're going to get out of a given VN. Usually it's some, usually it's like some, kind of cheap dating sim, and I'm just not into that. But like this one told a really good story about this really, kind of, StarCraft 2 isn't exactly niche, but like, this sort of niche like area. And it wasn't about, anything but the, protag's relationship with that world and trying to survive in that world and do well. And why he did it in, the face of, a lot of adversity. And I thought that was really cool, that visual novels were being used to, explore, something cool and new and fun. And I wanted to do that myself for my own world. So the thing I wanted to make a visual novel about was the law, because I'm a lawyer. And of course, famously, there have never been any big visual novels about being a lawyer. There's, of course, the Phoenix Wright series. But the thing that's always frustrated me about the Phoenix Wright series, although it's a fantastic story and extremely well written, is that it has absolutely nothing to do with how the law actually works. So I wanted to, make something similar to what my friend made that would actually teach you a little bit of actual law and require you to apply it. That way you could, kind of get a glimpse into the world of being a lawyer a little bit more realistically than that in Phoenix Wright. But when I went to make that project, I was like, oh, right, I don't know how to code anything. I should learn how to do a visual novel. And so I decided to mod basically the only other VN that I'd ever played that I enjoyed at all, which is this one. And that's how this mod came to be.
Oh, nice. So we can expect in the future, after club meetings is done, that project to be someday made, eh?
Yeah, although getting back to your original question, which is what could I have done better? I'm still not great at coding, so it'll be in the distant future. But yeah, if you look through my code, you can see that, especially early on when I was new, I really didn't know what I was doing. I have in episode 1 basically a simple menu where every time you pick a choice from the menu, you go back to the menu and that choice is gone from the menu. And if you know what you're doing in RimPy, that's pretty simple. But I did not know what I was doing, so I created this elaborate logic controller to determine which options had been selected and which had not, and displaying a different menu for each possible iteration of options being chosen or not. So yeah, like I'm learning all the time, but yeah, I could definitely be a cleaner coder.
Yeah, I feel you on that. So, another question is, this one is, what's your least favorite part about your mod?
Least favorite part? Everyone hates posing. I get it. It's definitely tedious. It's not, but I actually kind of like it more than most modders do, I think. I find it to be a really good opportunity to think about, how the characters are feeling and thinking. I use it as a foreshadowing tool a lot of the time. You can get a hint as to what people are worried about or thinking about from the way I pose them. So I think it's just extended writing in this medium anyway. Let's see, what's my least favorite part? So my mod has a feature where actual people who play and view the mod on YouTube can write in and have their questions and comments answered by the actual club in my actual mod. So it's like a fourth wall mail slot. That is probably my viewers' least favorite part of the mod, because the emails that people write tend to be like some of them are really good, but some of them are lengthy and very personal to the person writing the email, let's say, so that's not, super accessible entertainment for other people.
Yeah.
Let's see, but that's not my least favorite part of it. That actually is a pretty easy part to get through because I just kind of can burn through it. Basically, anytime I have to mess with animation language stuff is not my favorite. I'm still struggling not only to understand that, but it's an area I'm weak in. Like visual reasoning is not my best reasoning, so ATL is not my favorite. I'll leave it at that. Anytime I have to do it, I did a very simple animation for I think it was the season 2 collection, and it was extremely simple. I didn't want to do it at first because I knew it would require me to learn something new and not just copy it from the base game. But a friend of mine who was in the modding community, it was Kisby, rest in peace, said, no, you got to do it. You did this. The whole point of this project is for you to learn, so go and figure it out. So they encouraged me to figure it out, and then I did, in fact, figure it out. But this very simple animation took me like the better part of 2 days for, basically a throwaway 10-second joke. So, yeah, ATL not my favorite.
Yeah, ATL is sometimes pretty hard to do.
For some people, like myself, I mean, for others, they're like, "What are you talking about? This is like it's X and Y, and you move stuff like that. That's all it is." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I don't get it quite as well as other people."
All right, now these questions move a bit away from your mod and aim directly at you and what you think about the community and also on yourself. So,
Sure.
firstly, more about the community is what mod do you hate the most and why?
I don't like to talk about mods that I hate, and generally I wouldn't be able to tell you because like I kind of forget about mods that I don't like. My philosophy is basically that making mods is really hard. Making any kind of art is really hard, and I think people that finish a mod like should be applauded, no matter what the mod is or how bad it is. Like the fact that you had an idea, you stuck it out, and you finished it is praiseworthy. I mean, for every mod that gets made, I'm sure there are 10 that people had some idea for that they never executed. It's actually probably a lot more than 10, or that they started but never finished. Right. So I don't think I have a mod that I like really dislike or hate. Like my kind of main message is I don't care what your idea is, or even if it's terrible, just make it. In the season 3 compilation, I kind of made a mod just to prove this point, where I was in the Twitch chat of another DDLC creator, Tormuse, and we were talking about this, and I made some offhand comment like, I don't care what your mod is. It could be the worst idea in the world. It could be Doki Doki Onion Club. just actually make it, right? And then to prove my point, I actually made that mod. I made Doki Doki Onion Club, which is a Fever Dream kind of shitposty mod, and put it in the season 3 compilation just to prove a point of like, look, like all it takes is just have an idea and execute it. And it doesn't matter if it's terrible, just execute your idea. So yeah, none, I guess, would be my answer for that.
That's a good mindset. I feel like this kind of mindset should be spread throughout the community a bit more.
I concur.
So, another question here is, do you have any, like, artistic aspirations outside of making mods?
In general, I'm a musician, play piano. Not much of a songwriter, but play piano. Used to sing in a band long ago. What else? I told you about the VN that I am hoping to build. I write quite a bit in terms of prose fiction type stuff. I publish very rarely, if ever. Mostly I write for myself. I have one book that I've finished, which is never going to get published because I'm never going to be done with it. Which I'm done with it, but I'm never going to finish editing it. The reason that I tell people just finish it, just do it, is because that's such a weakness of mine, right? Like, I have projects that I'll start and then just edit, finish a first draft and then just edit forever. and never actually release it. So writing, music, and of course I told you about the other VN idea that I had.
Yeah, okay. Now, what do you think about the community as a whole? Like, the whole DDLC community?
It could be better. It could be better. I think as a whole, the community is pretty young. Can be kind of immature. It like at the end of the day, I think even though DDLC is a deconstruction, a lot of the people who end up being huge fans of it are people who would be normal VN fans basically. And there's nothing wrong with being a normal VN fan, but like I think as a whole, the community tends to gravitate toward being a little less mature and a little young. And I often feel like I'm in the server, but I don't interact much, just because it's not my speed. Because I'm old, at least relative to the average DDLC fan, I'm extremely old. And of course, that's not true of everybody. There are plenty of folks in the community who are super awesome, super mature, super cool. And I've found a lot of them, and they are, some of them are practically my internet family at this point. But that aside, I would say as a whole, I think the community could be better, but it's definitely got plenty of standouts and cool.
That's good to hear. So, now a bit like differently, what are some of your favorite mods out there to get into a more positive vibe?
So I was just talking about Tormuse, and so I'll keep it on Tormuse, who's still easily my favorite mod creator in the community. He recently released Would You Love Me is a I'm not even sure how to classify that one. It's half serious and half not at all serious. But he's extremely creative. He knows how to tell a good story. My favorite mod by him is Sierra Says No to Suicide, which is a very short and almost like a PSA type mod, but it's executed so well and with such good characterization that I kind of consider it like an extremely shining example of how to characterize and how to give the characters distinct voices and make them have their own ideas and motivations and so forth. And it's accomplished in a very short time period. That mod's very short. So yeah, that'll be my answer to that. I'm a huge fan of Tormuse and his mods. There are other mods out there that are extremely well made and good, but those are the ones that I'm the biggest fan of.
All right. Now,
and I would be
yes.
I would be remiss also if I did not call out Charlotte's Club Meetings Abridged, which is a parody mod of my mod, which is hilarious and I mean not at all serious, but it's extremely funny. I enjoyed it.
Now on to our last question of today, and that is, are there any personal events that affect the stories you tell, if you're comfortable in sharing, of course?
I mean, yeah. So, like, I think a very important part of all writing is that you put yourself into everything that you write. I mean, you won't be able to write compellingly unless what you're writing comes at least in some regard from your own personal experience. So, yeah, I would say that almost everything that goes on is from some piece or another of my experience. And in fact, all the main characters anyway, have like pieces of me in them. One of the things that struck me most forcefully about the original mod is how similar I am to the actual protagonist of the mod, Monica. We have a lot in common. So she's got my meta obsession and my slight sociopathic tendencies when I'm in love. And there's a lot of things that I'm like control freakness that we have in common with Monica. Natsuki's got sort of my gamer knowledge / shitpost tendencies / memeing. Yuri's got my love of extremely pretentious speech and writing and general intelligentsia. Sarah's got my desire to have people get along at all times, and so on and so forth. Right? Like I would say almost if you knew me in real life, and then you played this mod having no idea of any about it beforehand, you would know it was me writing it, hopefully.
Okay, so a piece of you in every Doke in your mod. then.
Just about everything, yeah. And most of the events as well.
Alright. So, is there anything you want to say to the community and to the viewers before we end today?
No. Well, one thing I will say, so I was just saying, the community could be better, but the one thing I think the community does really well is help people get on their feet in terms of modding. And the community was really awesome to that regard with me back in 2019 when I was learning. So I would say Mod Help best channel. Go to Mod Help and get your mod made by asking for technical help, because the folks will help you out. Super awesome.
Alright, well, I thank you for your time. I am glad that I got to meet you and that I got to interview you here today. And well, I hope that you have an awesome rest of the day.
Thanks, Dennis. Have a good one.
Have a good one, and also goodbye, dear viewers. See you next time.